This is a much changed scene, isn't it? Whether it looks better or not, I think it does, but it'll be your own judgment that'll decide that. Hello everybody and welcome to the February 2023 update from Clydebridge station. I think you can see what the main focus of this month's video is. We have a new retaining wall using bits from scale model scenery. I'll put the link to that in the description below. We have much filthier looking track bed here in the depot area. I'll tell you all about that later on and how we've done that. And we also have a brand new locomotive on the layout as well. You may well have seen it in the January update. More about this little beauty later on. What I will say is that she's not a perfect runner at the moment, but I think she's needing a bit weighed down, and also the temperature in here won't help at the moment, but I have had a heater on today. So that's the main focus this month, is doing up this depot area. There'll be the usual shout outs to everybody throughout the video, and I've got a couple of links in the description below for non-railway organisations that might interest you. So do please check out everybody during the currency of this video, or the duration of this video rather. The retaining wall that you see there provides a contrast to the one that I've built. But that's what's going to be the main focus this month in the update. So, if you're ready, without further ado, all aboard. I hope you enjoy the video. Any comments, queries, suggestions, if you could just pop them down below. And thank you for watching in advance. This original wall here was built using retaining wall sheets from scale model scenery, but I had to adapt them, and as you can see what's happened, it hasn't gone very well and it just doesn't look great at all. Now what I have done is I'm going to put the camera down just for a minute so you can get a right good view of the problems. As I've been doing a bit of shopping and I have got some of this TX0400, similar to the bricks that I've used to build the shopping centre and the tunnel mouth. So I've got some of that, and I've got some grey board, and what my plan is, I'm going to get the sheets made up and look at trying to create my own style of retaining wall, but only having these bits here pinned, and going back to the original idea I spoke about in 2021 of it slotting in. So you can imagine you'll have a bit of retaining wall edge here and here, and it'll just slide up and down. So that's the sort of thing I'm going to try and do this time. Simply it'll give me easier access over here rather than try to go under there, because I keep knocking stuff over if I go under there. So that's what my plan is. Now the grey board sheets that are coming off will not be going to waste just yet, because at a later date I'm going to have to use them to prop up the concrete sheet there in the depot area, as you can see. So as I say, they won't be going to waste. Now they are pinned on, you can see just how ugly that is. So what I need to do is get the first bit off, the first couple of bits off actually. What I'll then do is start making the first bit of the new retaining wall sheets, and this is actually why I've had to clear the depot area, so I've got plenty of room to work with. Two bits up, and I'm encountering the first of many problems when dealing with this, and I knew I was going to encounter problems, believe me. The original idea of it slotting in and out, that's not going to work at all. It's just not feasible. It's going to be impossible to actually get the right width and that. So it is going to have to be pinned on, and I'm just going to have to clear stuff and work my hands underneath if something goes wrong. What you can't see here is I've tried to join these bits together with a bracing strip couple of bracing strips underneath there, and I've pinned them on there, and there'll be a pin put in there, and one there, and then what I've got, a couple of centimetres wide, and that'll sit there to hide the pins and the joins. One will go in there, and obviously one will go there when the pins are put in there. Next problem, of course, I've got is I'll have to order more sheets, brick sheets, no doubt music to the ears of scale model scenery. So we'll get on with that. Whilst I'm doing this, if you ever get bored, go and check out Ebsworth Street, run by my mate Greg Marshall, and also have a check out with Groveland Junction. He's a mate of Greg Marshall's, so go and check them out. Well, that's how it's looking now. Notice that this one's going to be curved a bit because I haven't got anything supporting it at the bottom. That's what I've got here, and I'm just hoping that all sticks together. And then I'll need to get the next bit in there. And obviously I've got this problem here. I don't know how that's going to take a bit of chipping away to get rid of that. If I can get rid of that, that would make life a lot easier for me, obviously. But so let me just see if that's going to stay stuck together. But anyway, that's given us an already good idea of how it's going to look. And by the way, the links to the stuff that I've used from Scale Model Scenery in the description below. And I've also not forgotten that I'll have to do bits for round the other side of the retaining wall here, so don't worry, I've got that all in place. Notice I've also took up that bit here, and that leads me to this bit here, because that I think is going to have to come up, and we're going to have to do something different for there. So it looks like this concrete area is going to get replaced as well. Thankfully that these strips will actually be useful for that too. By the way, the concrete, the brick strips I'll make for the other side there will actually come from this, so they won't all go to waste. I'm going to leave that now for a couple of days, and then I'll come back and we'll see how it looks and take it from there. There's what it's starting to look like. Now this bit of brick here that you see, that's actually what's on the bottom of the sheets from Scale Model Scenery, and I know there's a little white line along the bottom there, but that'll be infilled with ballast vegetation, so you won't actually see that white line at the bottom. I'm just using the normal brick on the top here, and I put it on the Scottish Railway Modellers Facebook group and also on the Clydebridge Station Facebook page about how thick these abutments should be, and I was told to make it 2 layers thick rather than 1. So that's what I've done, and I've got the abutments on the other side as well there. And I'm trying my damnedest to make sure that there is much approximately the same width apart, but it's clearly not going to be at that bit there. I've managed to chisel away everything that was here, and I've also managed to get myself some more stuff at home base. There we go. That'll actually have to get cut for this, for a couple of the sections where I've got the pillars holding up the street scene boards. But then after I get that cut there, what will then happen is very simple. We'll just be carrying on, and as you see, I've got the street scene board, and I've got the retaining wall, sorry, as you can see here, higher than the vegetation. I think that'll make it look a lot better, and I'll hide all of this bit here because I'll be putting more. There's a bird actually on the roof there as I speak. It will look a bit higher, and this will all get covered over, so it won't be as rough as what it was previously. Now if you check out Dudley Central on YouTube and Instagram, he is set in the West Midlands PTE Central era and area, so you'll quite like his layout. He's actually got the same station building there as what's here at Clydebridge. So I'll get cracking on and try and get some more of this done and get some more of this bridge, this retaining wall made into that sort of style. And then what I'll do is I'll have a look at it after that and we'll see where we are. Oh, we're getting a bit more progress made. There is a slight change to the design. What I've actually found is by using the grey board, rather than using it long ways, if I turn it up the way, I can find I can get two sheets made up. Two sections made up from one bit of grey board, although I still have to use just the one sheet of TX0400. So that's a slight change that's been made there. So we'll see it's been narrowed a bit for the rest of the time, but you can see that it's getting pinned on. And I've got the wood in here. Obviously I've been trying to scrape away as much of this as I can. It's behind this existing retaining wall. But you can see where the problem is lying here. You can see it's not, that's a bit of a problem, but there's not much I can do about that. The main problem has obviously been you were able to see the differences in the design there, so it wasn't as glossy as what it is now. It's one single section, and the brick parapet's on the back there, so it's all been pinned on there. It's not sitting quite right there, but that will get hidden slightly with the buttresses. So there's quite a lot to be doing there. This needs a bit of explaining as well. A group of friends of mine kept joking that I didn't have a Christmas tree on the layout. So when I met up with them last night, this is what they gave me for my birthday. When the vegetation is all renewed there, that is going to sit right there in the middle. So much for a summer layout. Speaking of layouts, Eden Road and Wenstead, check that out on YouTube and also on Twitter and on Facebook as well. Eden Road and Wenstead, that's my mate Ryan from the Cooper Model Railway Club. He's got those two layouts, and you might have actually seen Wenstead when I filmed at the Cooper Model Railway Club summer exhibition at the Corn Exchange. I'll put a link to that up there. So you can actually view that if you so wish. Right, we'll crack on and I'll get some more done. Well, this is how far I've managed to get. Unfortunately, I haven't ordered enough of the TX004, so I'm going to have to order more. That means that I can't progress any further at the moment, excuse the phone, until I get more of that in, and then we can carry on much further. So I'll get the prep work done for that later on. That's going to involve me just putting water onto here, so I can then remove all of that and therefore be able to run the wood along there as a support. So what we'll do in the meantime is we'll turn our attention to something else here in the depot area, and that's the walkways. This was a walkway that I'd done in a previous update, and it was simply to replace this style of walkway, and you can see what the problem is. There you go, so there's plenty of bounds. What I'm going to do is take each walkway up one at a time, and then I'm going to cut it to a narrow width. Now that narrow width is roughly 1.5 centimetres. And then it'll get glued back in, and then ballast will get put in between. Now it's going to be 3 layers high. That's what this is here. And it'll be glued all the way along, so the 3 layers will go on all the way along. That should hopefully prevent this bouncing effect that we've got here, and it should also give it a far more glossy feel. So I'm going to actually get the first bit up now, and don't worry, I've got spare bits underneath, and you can see straight away that's a pin there from where I pinned it down, so that'll come up. And we'll remove this because we don't need this anymore. Just gotta watch it, you didn't take the off, there we go. So that's what will happen. Each bit will go up, this ballast will be cleared out, and then once it's actually all in place, I'll be able to, at a later date, put ballast in. So I'll go get the first bit done now. Well, with me having to wait on the more walling to come, I've thought rather than just simply do the walkways, let's just get the whole depot back area done. Now, do you remember those bits of grey board that I took off from here earlier and kept some? Well, they've proved useful because I cut 2 bits to go under here. Now notice there's a bit of damage there, but that'll cover it there, you see. That'll just sit there. And we'll also have sheets going there. It's going to be a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but the plan is that I'll get sheets under there too, raise that up, and then I'll have to do alterations to this piece here. It might actually mean having to make a new piece up altogether for over here. That hole will get covered, by the way. There's a wee ledge just there. Dirtier fuel filler is back in place, however. Now, if you check out another depot layout, West Blythe MPD, give him a check out. I'm sure he'll appreciate your support. And I'm going to get this rest of his back area done, and then we'll take a look at it. This is a concrete area all back in. Now, a couple of confessions. I actually had to super glue down some of the base bits so they could fit in perfectly, but you can see how level that is with that. Part of the concrete paper had torn there, so I've covered it over with vegetation, and then I'll just put that there. I've not glued that in. I've left this gap here because this is likely to be where the fuel tank will go, so that will get covered over anyway. And then I'll need to get ballasting all around here, but that's a job that will be done once the walkways are all done. Because there's no point in me just doing a bit of ballasting now until I've got the walkways and know what, where I need to go and ballast, and in fact also need to buy more ballast too. Something that will please my local model shop. So I'm going to get on and do the rest of the walkways now, and I'm going to start from here and work my way out the way with the walkways, simply because we obviously now know what sort of level we're at for the walkways. I've got a station on the layout, and that's appropriate for the next shout out I'm going to give to you. It's a band from Glasgow, a 4-piece boy band called Just the Brave. Now they're on Instagram, Just the Brave Official, and if you go and check them out, and a little thing to tell you about, one of their tunes is very appropriate for any model railway layout. It's called Stations. They actually performed that last year on the Saturday morning BBC Children's programme, Saturday Mashup. So if you go and check them out, Just the Brave Official on Instagram. Okay, so let's get on, and I'm going to carry on with the rest of the walkways using the cacophony of stuff that I've got here. There we go then, folks. That's all the walkways done. They've been glued down and they're well away from rolling stock, so they should be absolutely fine. A little bit shorter than what they used to be, so all of this is going to have to be filled up with ballast. Now, the plan is that I won't put any ballast down until after I've completed the wall, because I'm going to be nailing in, or pinning in rather, here. And also, once I've got, if I was to go and try and put ballast down, I'd have to hoover up all the old stuff first before I put the fresh stuff down, because you could see there's been a lot of stuff got loose out and about there. And then if I was to put the new ballast down, I'd still have to have hoover up back loose stuff here. So what I'm going to do is do the pinning first, then the completion of the retaining wall, and then hoover up the old stuff, because I can put the new ballast down and here and do it as a whole job in one go, you see. That way everything will be done in I wouldn't say a uniform appearance, but it'll give me a chance to make it look, or get it all done out the road in one go, rather than doing a bit here and then a bit there. Check out Network South East Latchmere on Twitter, by the way. He'll be glad of your support. He's got a Network South East themed layout, plenty 73s and 33s and multiple units. What I'm going to do now is get back to the retaining wall, which we've got here, and I'll talk about what's going to happen there. If you just excuse the stuff I've got there the now, but you can see I've got all the panels now installed. Now this was the one that I was a bit concerned about, a bit troublesome, and what I've had to do here is this abutment, I've actually had to super glue that on. That's the only way I could do it, but all these are now in place. The paper ripped a little bit here. However, that's not a problem, because later on what will happen, not in this video but in a future video, is that I'll be putting coping stones all the way along here, and that way it will give it a nice finished look to it. The pillar that will go here will probably go to about that sort of height, I think, or maybe I will put it to that tall height, and that'll hide that join there. But that is actually the wall panels installed, so it's just the abutments, parapets that are all needing to get installed. And I've actually still got 4 whole sheets of this stuff left, so that's gave me an idea for another future video, is to start replacing this with this as well. So you'll actually see that happen. I've still got a few sheets of grey board as well, so that'll help make the abutments and parapets there, and also help me when I come to do the street scene and redo this again with the plywood. Well, actually, you know what to do. Tell me what you think. Should I just leave it like that, or stick it onto take each bit off and put the grey board onto plywood, pin it onto plywood, and then put it back on? Let me know what you think. Well, as I say, what's got to happen now is I've got sheets, spare sheets, so I can start making my brick bits that go along here, parapets and abutments, and then that'll be that job done. What will then have to happen is get the ballast down, so I'd better crack on and get on with this. Progress on the wall is now looking quite good. My friend's tree is now on its own plinth, as you could see there. However, the vegetation in here will be getting worked on in the March update. But I've got all these uprights now. I think they're called abutments. Parapets, and the abutments will be going along here. Correct me if I've got that the wrong way around, by the way, folks. This is a bit of the tunnel mouth here, and you can see what I've had to actually do. I've had to try and make it as best I can. It's not ideal, I'm afraid, but in the circumstances it's the best I can really do there. But that's the wall starting to really come together now. It's got sort of Lancashire and Yorkshire feel to it, I think. I mean, I've actually seen walls like this before. If you run along the car park at Southport Station, for instance, I think that's actually one place where there's a wall like that. So that's quite a good idea. And as you can see, these are the bits at the bottom of the TX 00400 that are used on the bottom there. So that's what these bits here are for. 2 together and covered over with the appropriate brick. That style for the top, that style for the bottom, and then they'll be put on like that. I've still got quite a bit of grey board left over, and that's actually handy because this building here is a bit troublesome. You could see bits falling off it all the time. It just doesn't look good at all. So what I'm going to try and do is fashion my own one, make my own sort of brick, low relief brick building. For the Strathclyde Regional Council Social Work Department building there, but you'll see that not in the March update, but it'll be perhaps later on in the year. And I'm going to, although this here, the Quadrant Park nightclub looks very good, I could actually make that even better, and I'll have a go at making a Quadrant Park nightclub building. This one's made out of balsa wood, but I think I could actually make it again a lot better than what it currently is. But again, that's something that will be done in another video, probably during the summer. I should also add I've got coping stones from Scale Model Scenery to go along here, but you won't see them until the March update when I'm doing the vegetation. Before I go and start installing these bits and then letting you see the completed wall, completed-ish wall, couple of shout outs. Go onto Twitter and check out Ugo Monye, Rugby Union's worst dressed commentator. He wore a basketball t-shirt when doing commentary on a European match last year for BT Sport. I wonder what Bill McLaren would have made of that. And also check out my mate Honest Jones, a singer from London. I'll put the link in the top right hand corner of the video to one of his tunes called Modest. The video was actually filmed in North Finchley in London. And speaking of links, I'll put links to the Scale Model Scenery stuff I've used in making this wall in the description below. Right, I'm going to crack on and get the rest of this done, get these all on here, and then we'll see what the finished product looks like. There we go, so that's the wall now completed in terms of the abutments and the parapets. It obviously still needs the coping stones on the top, which we'll do in the March update when I come to do all of this bit in here and fix these walls here, but that is obviously for another day. It isn't the most perfect wall, I'll admit that, but I'll tell you what it has done. It's given me the confidence that I can actually do it on here as well now. And that is going to be my next plan later in the year, is to replace this wall here and do it in that style as well, because now I know how to do it on here, I can replicate it on there. This section along here will get done when time permits. That's a very easy job to do. I've kept all the templates, so that'll be an easy job, as I say, and I'll do that as time permits. The depot isn't quite finished yet. I'm going to have to get the hoover in and hoover up all the loose ballast, and that's going to be the next point I'll talk about in a minute. But before that, just a quick shout out to my good friends at Wrangler, www.wrangler.co.uk. if you give them a check out, please. Right, what we'll do now is we'll get on to the ballasting of the depot area. There we have a large amount of the fueling point already done, and you can see just how much different that looks, how dirtier that looks. Now you can see this is all glued down here and it's not quite dry yet, so it'll take another week or so to dry, I would imagine. I'm going to go and do this next bit here. I've put some of the bigger gravel, as you can see, that had some left just in these points here, and that's going to get glued down today as well. And I've already got some more bits of coarse turf and ready to be glued down too. The tracks will all then get cleaned, and then we'll get a train run up and down it. And I've also included one small sign just there, I think you can just see that there. Now these walkways are a little bit damp looking, but actually it gives them a sort of stained look, but I think they'll dry out eventually. It'll take a little while. And this bit here and this bit here, it'll be quite oily looking, and it'll be the same down here. It'll be very dark like that. These two sidings, although there's going to be some muck there, the majority of it will be cleaner here, working its way up to dirtiness here, simply because that's where the locomotives will be most of the time. We won't do anything with this side yet, because this will be done later on in the year when I come to renew all of this. Try and make it look a lot better than that, and look a lot better than that. So I'm going to crack on and get that done, and what I'll do is I'll make up a little mix of this stuff first of all, so you can see what I'm going to do. That's a mix that I've made up, and you can see I've just applied it down, and although I'm actually right-handed rather than left-handed, this is what I'm doing. I need to have it quite oily at this end, and at this end with a little bit of oil in between, as it were, so it can look like it's really oily. And that's the stuff I'm using. It's Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast Cinders Bravo 1376, and that cost £12.50. And as an aside, that'll be useful for the railway station area as well, to simulate oil where the locomotives are sitting. So it's going to have that use as well. So Ryan Gray and Jim Scobie down at Scoonie Hobbies, thank you very much indeed for that tip. And then I'm just going along here like that, and then I'll also use the brush there to fill in any of the gaps. And once it's all glued down and dried, I'll then get the good old vacuum cleaner out, the good old Dyson out, and get it all hoovered up. Other vacuum cleaner brands are available. I'll crack on with this, and I'll also make a little suggestion to those of you who've got children who maybe want to see if they can get extra help or that, or want to do things and get ready for adult life. Why not get them to join the Cub Scouts? And they could do with some volunteers as well, the Scouts. So get in touch with your local Scout group. My one here is the 4th Fife Scouts here in Cardenden. So if there's anybody out in the Cardenden area, I'm sure that they would be happy to for any assistance or for any new members. So go and check the Scouts out as well. I'll put the link to the Scouts website in the description below, and I'll also put the Facebook group for the 4th Fife Scouts in the description below as well, so people in Cardenden can go and check that out. Right, I'm going to crack on, stop yapping and get the rest of this done, and then we'll get it glued down. Right, that's actually the ballasting, the vegetation here now getting glued or being glued down, and you can see that that's drying. Well, I've missed a bit here which I'll get to. I'm not going to put any signs down now until the ballast's dried. That's opposite to how you should do it, I know, but I've already had ballast down, you see. So again, I know it's not ideal that, but there's not much I can now do about that. See, when you're actually sweeping this ballast away, use a brush. If you haven't glued the ballast down, don't blow it, because you'll actually blow your unglued ballast away too, and you'll have to start all over again. That's going to take a week to dry. I know I've got a heater in this shed that I could actually use if I so wished to dry it quicker. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let Mother Nature do that. So that means that I'll be a week before this is all, at least before this is all dried, and then I'll get the Track Magic cleaner down, clean all the track, and then run a loco up and down here, and up and down here, and up and down here, and into the early bits here. I'm not going to go all the way up with a loco here for the simple reason these are actually the carriage sidings, and this is a carriage siding come locomotive siding. Also, another little problem I noticed, this point had stopped working. You can see I've had to cut a little notch in here. Not ideal, but as I say, this whole bit is going to get replaced later this year, because they have to cut notches like that, just doesn't look real. So that whole bit's going to get done later on in the year, not right now though, obviously. So we'll give that actual area at least a week to dry, and then get it cleaned, and then the final bit of this update will be to run a locomotive up and down the sidings to let you see them in use. And I should add as well, see, when we're talking about here, the fuel point will actually cover, as I say, the fuel tank will cover this bit here. That'll be done in the update next month, the March update, which you'll see from here. Right, we're going to let this dry for a week, but you won't have to wait a week, you'll just have to wait a few seconds. So we'll flip round and we'll see how it looks. As you can see, I've brought some rolling stock in. Now it's almost dry. I haven't got the hoover out yet because I've actually got the hoover filter in bits, because I had to clean that after giving the house its regular hoover. Other brands of vacuum cleaner of course are available. But that's what the depot is now starting to look like, and it's certainly a lot more realistic than what it was before. There's patches there that will have to be done at a later date, but later in the year I'm actually going to be doing this area here, redoing it, because you can see how that's sitting down. That's not right at all. And I've also got to go and repair something here, because one of these has actually come away. I think it's this one, yes, it's that one there. So I'm going to get that soldered, and that'll be done for the March update. Now, the track has been cleaned here, and I have actually ran 47835, which you see there coupled to this sleeper train, and it's working quite well. What I haven't told you about yet, but you may have seen when you were watching the January update and saw the running session, was this machine. This is 47583, and she carries the name County of Hertfordshire. Now, the livery that she's carrying is a bit out with the sectorisation period of British Rail. The livery is one that was applied by Stratford in 1981 for the wedding of His Majesty Prince Charles, now King Charles III, the Prince of Wales, and Lady Diana Spencer. That locomotive 47712 by coincidence is also here on the layout. The livery that it carried here by Stratford was large logo blue livery, which you'll be familiar with, but it's got the stripes going further along, and it had the patriotic white, blue and red stripes in the BR logo. It carried the long bands for a considerable time, about a year, but only carried these small bands in the BR logo for a short period of time. And indeed, within a year it was actually repainted back into BR blue livery. This famous veteran of the livery game later carried Network South East livery. A very popular machine at an open day where it was photographed on the Class 47 website. This was actually purchased from Rainbow Railways in Linlithgow, and it's a Hornby Railroad version. It's not as heavy as the Bachmann ones. I have gave it a run around the layout, and you saw it earlier on in the running session in the January update. Good enough locomotive. The only problem with it is it will need probably weighed down a bit more, and I'm going to try and show you that now, what problems I have. It can run okay. You can see that I think it's needing weighed down a bit, because if I put my finger on it, don't try this at home, I'll just stop it. It's actually stopping there anyway, but this whole track's needing cleaned here. The locomotive itself is from Rainbow Railways, this in Linlithgow. It was actually in a sale. I knew I had to get it. It gives me 20 Class 47s. And I think with the 20 Class 47s on the layout, that'll be more than enough to go and do 4 review videos of my 47 fleet in future. I'm going to try and just run it back towards the buffer stops at the fueling point. Which actually before I do that, that's what the fueling point now looks like. It looks grimy, it looks filthy, it looks well used, it looks like what we're actually wanting, doesn't it? And with Derek there. Where I've put my phone in now, that's where the fuel tank will go. I'm going to do as part of the March update. Just running the camera along there gives you an idea of the effect. You've got the retaining wall there in the background. The coping will go on next month when we do the vegetation. And yes, I've forgotten to glue this down. I keep knocking it over, so I'll get it glued down. But you can just see there, the wall there, just what that looks like now. It is a lot better than that retaining wall. I'm very pleased with indeed. You never know. Justin Noble and his team at Scale Model Scenery might take inspiration from this and actually make a kit based upon that. I can't possibly comment. Yes, that was the one thing that Rainbow Railways didn't mention on their website when describing this locomotive in the sale. They said it was DCC ready. When I got the box, it claimed to be DCC sound fitted, so I got back in touch with them. They actually confirmed that it was indeed DCC sound fitted, so that saved me the hassle of going to Scobie Hobbies in Kirkcaldy to get Jim Scobie to put a decoder in it. Now, I haven't run it along this here because when I was running it along here it's a bit stop-starty, and I think it's going to need to get weighed down a bit, so that'll be something that Jim will do at Scobie Hobbies in the near future, and we'll probably get him to do that with the Lima locomotives as well, because that may well help their running, in addition to the fact that the temperature in here won't help the Lima locomotives or this Hornby Railroad one. She's a pretty good machine though, isn't she? Basic Hornby Railroad machine, it's the budget entry section for Hornby. It's ex-Lima tooling, so you don't get all the mod cons that you would get with a Bachmann one. What I'm going to try and do in the future though is actually do a special test video where I'm going to compare this one in terms of sound with 47346, which is the previous Bachmann tooling, and it's also sound fitted, and indeed 47346 was also purchased sound fitted in a sale. That was from the Kernow Model Railway Centre down in Camborne in Cornwall. So that's why I've not actually run it up and down here, but what I'll do, just as a sort of finish off, I'm going to try and test it on the platform 6 where the sleeper train goes, and we'll see how it sounds there. Do bear in mind I've also went over and cleaned this track that you see all here. But as I say, she is quite a light machine. There she is. She's quite a light machine compared to 47835, for instance, which is the Bachmann one. So that obviously will be a factor as well. What I'll do is I'll run her up. I'll do a test run off the video camera, do it off camera, and then we'll run her up here just to see her before we finish this update. There we go. She's a little bit troublesome in running service, but she certainly does the job anyway. Actually performs better without the sound on than with the sound on. But I hope you enjoyed that little short, very short running session there with her. And that completes this month's update here at Clydebridge Station. As the birds tweet, we must be getting into spring. So the next videos from this channel we're going to actually compare the sound between this one and the Bachmann one, and towards the end of February I'll be at Model Rail Scotland on the Saturday the 25th of February, so if you do see me with my big spiky hair and my Wrangler hoodies on and my Wrangler jeans on, come over and say hello to me. And if I recognise any of you, I'll be popping over to say hello to you as well. The March update will see the coping stones getting finally put on here, the vegetation getting sorted in here, and we'll get a fuel tank positioned in here. And that'll be what will be taking up the March update. In the meantime, all that remains for me to do is to say thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and I'll look forward to your company next time. In the meantime, do take care of yourselves, won't you, and enjoy your lives, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.